Something that happened recently with the whole family at Disneyland, of all places. Good morning, it's a sunny and warm day until the rains hit tomorrow. So today is a paint day. Problem is, I'm not a painter. You have some fine painting with corners and baseboards. I'm not the guy, don't call me. But what we're doing today is something a little bit more broader, so it doesn't have to be neat and pretty. So let me show you what we're doing. So here's the fountain. We haven't really painted it, I think, since the show. It's not horrible, but we want to just get some fresh paint on there and make things a little bit darker and richer in color. We're keeping the same color. We actually found the old can of paint. Imagine that, finding the old can of paint. Here's some little splashes that we did. And I think it looks pretty good. So we're not going to do a full coverage. I'm going to try my hand at just splatching. Maybe I made that word up right now, but splatching along. And it's supposed to have that old village square, town center, fountain feel to it. As our show was al fresco, the outdoor garden. I don't know if there's really any science to this. Just something fast. Not really trying to fill all the space. Trying to give it that old town square fountain look. Better to start light first. This way, if I need to go back, it's easier than trying to undo something.
While Jerry is painting the fountain, what I'm going to be doing is painting the little mini elevated raised bed. Because after we installed the taller raised bed right behind me, the color popped, it looked so pretty. And then looking at the mini elevated raised bed, which was never weather sealed, it just, is a contrast that I don't really love. So the mini elevated raised bed is actually kind of faded over the past couple of years. I know it's not going to look the same as the tall raised bed, but still it's always good to weatherproof, and then maybe it'll make the color pop just a little bit more. What I'm also going to do though is, if I have enough of the weather sealer left, I'm going to put a second coat on the tall raised bed just to really seal the deal. And we are expecting a lot of rain this week, so today's the day. If we don't get it in today, it's not going to get done for probably another couple of weeks. Just a quick little update on the tall raised bed here. If you watched our video on the build, you know that it's about 3 feet tall, which I'm actually really excited about. No bending over, it's really gonna save my back. But the cool thing is, we finally got the brand new bumper crop raised bed mix in this week. So be watching for a video next week of us filling the raised bed with soil, sharing a few tips on how to fill it for a little bit less expensive. And I can't wait to get it planted. So we are gonna be getting that planted soon. Let me know what you think I should plant in there. I'm kind of debating going back and forth if I can fit more cool weather veggies in, or if I should just try and go straight to the warm weather veggies, because it is getting a little bit, still cool here, but it will be getting warm again soon. So here's just kind of a close-up look of the mini elevated raised bed. We did build this a couple of years ago, and the greens in here are absolutely going crazy. We've been harvesting off them a lot. So really excited to get it weather sealed today. I'm absolutely loving the garden box armor. It smells good. It's a plant-based garden bed sealer. So if you do need anything to seal your raised beds, if you're building raised beds this spring, I would highly recommend this. I'll go ahead and link to it in the video description below, but it's definitely meant for growing for raised beds, for growing vegetables. So it's safe for people, pets, that kind of thing, safe for organic gardening. Pretty cool stuff.
I'm going to check with Kim on what's the best way to handle painting this part here with this plant right here. Kim, thoughts on how I can get under this plant?
Yeah, I think the best way to do it is for me just to hold it up.
Okay, do it in place then.
Yeah,
nice.
So definitely want to keep these nasturtiums going.
All right, tell me when you're up.
Okay, there we go.
I think it's coming along nicely. It will also be more telling once it dries. And for all of you oldies out there, like me, loving the knee pads. Look how easy I can just go down to the other end and just do some touch-up. Something you may want to consider having in your toolbox.
So I am excited to see how the sealer is going to change the color. Wow, it's making it pop already. Kind of excited about this because this faded raised bed has kind of been bugging me for a while. So I think it's really going to make it pop again next to the new raised bed. Nice. It's really soaking up the sealer. This sealer actually, you roll it on like I'm doing now, and then you wait about 15 minutes and then you wipe it off so you don't get like a lot of stickiness and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm liking it already. I am really, really happy with how this turned out. I just honestly wasn't sure how it was going to look, but it really darkened up the wood very, very nicely, and I can't wait for it to dry to see how the finished product is going to look. Now, here's my perfectionist tendencies coming out. It's not exactly the same color as the new raised bed, but you know what? I am not going to fret about that because we're not trying to be perfect anymore, remember? And actually, I like the contrast between the two. So a little bit of variety in the garden is really nice. It almost looks like a different texture. So obviously it would have been better to weather seal this one as we were building it before we planted it. But you know what? Life happens, and now we're just going back to do it. So perfectly okay. I actually just kind of covered some of the greens in there with the shade cloth so they wouldn't get dipped in the paint as I was painting, and I think it worked out pretty well. Jerry's over there finishing up the fountain. Wow. I'm really liking it, Jerry. It looks great.
Thanks, I am too. It'll look fresher, I think,
Yeah.
and just kind of, it needed painting.
It just kind of makes it pop again instead
Yeah.
of looking kind
Good
of
word.
faded. Yeah, we are soaking up this warm weather today before the rain hits. So I do have enough of the weather sealer to put another coat on the big raised bed, and that'll just protect it further and just give it that little bit more of an extra sheen.
The fountain square has been painted, and I think it came out really, really nice. Looks fresh, newly painted, clean. I like it.
Well, you know how projects sometimes get bigger, right? Well, I decided to do the chill zone raised bed too, because I can't have the paint out and not do it when the other ones are really popping with that nice sheen, that nice weatherproofing. Gotta do this one. It'll be quick. The other ones only took about 10 or 15 minutes each. So I'm doing a little test patch here. Wow, what a difference. I actually did kind of weatherproof this one last summer, but I really didn't like the weatherproofing I used. This one is so much better, and plus it's for organic gardens, and it really does give it that beautiful sheen. So it's gonna be nice to have this on all the raised beds now. Really loving it. Jerry's pouting because I asked him to do the very bottom. It kind of looked like a wall that's painted without the trim being painted. He wasn't too happy about it. He's not super detail oriented, so he doesn't always see those things, but he's doing it and it looks so much better. Looks great, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost done. It went really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The chill zone raised bed is done. I'm so glad I decided to do it. It only took about 10 minutes, so it was well worth the effort. I even have a little bit of paint left over. I might do, oh, here we go, going down the rabbit hole. That tall table back there kind of needs a little finish around the edge, so maybe I'll do that real quick. And then I do have quite a bit to do today, trying to fit in before the rain. And then I really, really, really need to take out all these tomato plants because I'm going to be putting some more in soon. It's crazy how they're still already producing, or they're still producing, but they're definitely dying off. Our nights are getting kind of cold, and I need to get this hill in tip-top shape just because we'll have some more plants going in soon, and I'm kind of getting sick of staring out the window and seeing all these dead tomatoes. So hopefully I'll get to that today too.
We've got an interesting shoot here this morning along this fence, and the reason why it's interesting is because the sun rises from behind that fence. We're looking east when we look over that fence. So the problem that brings is the light comes up in different heights. Let me show you what I mean. Kim will actually be standing right where she is right now, and the sun will be coming up from behind the fence, and it slowly rises up in the east And finally, we'll emerge here from the top of the fence eventually. The challenge that is for me as we filmed here is putting up the diffuser on these steps. In order to get these shots, and as the sun got higher, I would have to move the diffuser up the steps one step at a time, maybe total about 2 steps, but any little breeze that may happen could be a problem, even though I've got tons of sandbags on everything. So it was kind of a touch and go. It never got breezy, but I was always kind of just keeping an eye on things during this shoot. As they say in the industry, we got the shot. We made it through the shoot without the breeze kicking up and this thing potentially falling over. Again, I want to tell you, don't try this one at home. This is not what I recommend. It's risky, but I had to do it to be able to get some shade. And unfortunately, these stairs are just there, and I can't work around them. But it worked, and we got it done. We are off to Ventura Harbor and Marina. It's Valentine's Day, so we're doing something very romantic, and we're walking around the marina, and we'll probably have some breakfast there as well. Just something about seeing the water.
Yeah, we just love walking along, seeing the boats. It's not a very warm day today, but we thought it'd be fun to get out for breakfast. Something different to do for Valentine's Day. Well, it's early-ish on a Sunday morning, and there's hardly anybody here. It's really peaceful, just walking along the harbor before we get something to eat, seeing the boats. It's just a really peaceful, calm feeling.
Well, I also have a story I want to share with you. Something that happened recently with the whole family at Disneyland, of all places. So we were at a restaurant celebrating Julianne's 30th birthday. She had a couple of her friends with her. And I started just looking around the room at their faces, and everyone was happy and laughing, telling jokes and stuff. And so I was just so at peace about it. It was something really, really special about still to this day being there with our kids who we used to bring back when they were little. And so here we all are now as adults sharing this time together, and it was just amazing. Here's where it gets a little bit interesting. I had this little out-of-body experience, kind of, but suddenly I was able to just see myself, and their voices kind of got a little bit softer, and I saw the look on my own face, and it was just a look of just contentment and peace. And almost brought me to tears. I did get melancholy. It was a happy melancholy, and I didn't realize it, but I'd kind of become quiet just watching everything. And I always remember that moment of just how lucky I am and how my heart and my life is so full.
And in fact, Jerry told me later that Julianne's best friend who was there with us said, "Jerry, you're a really good dad." And I think that was just such a neat, special moment. And I even noticed that he got quiet and asked him about it later. And he told me what had happened. And it was really neat. But the funny thing is, when she was a newborn baby, just 6 days old.
Oh, yeah.
People thought we were nuts, but we actually brought her to Disneyland. And you know that old school kind of mentality of you don't bring your kids out until they're about 3 months old? Well, I said to heck with that. We lived down near Disneyland. It was Valentine's Day, and we wanted to go out. So we took her to Disneyland. And you know that little restaurant when you're going through Pirates of the Caribbean called the Blue Bayou? You can see it from the ride. We'd always wanted to go there. That's what we did. Went there for dinner. And people were having fun looking at a newborn baby, of course, thinking we were crazy. But she made it to 30, and she wanted to go back for her 30th birthday. So we were super proud of her, and it was just a really fun, special day with the family.
I love that story.